The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air. Men, gather round. I've been doing a lot of internal thinking just now, and I've come to the conclusion that surely if we stay in this land, we're going to perish by Saul. So there'll be nothing better for us to do than to escape. And I know it's going to sound a bit bad, but the only place we can escape and have security is in the land of the Philistines.
The Philistines?
I know, it doesn't sound that good, but hear me out. I'm reasonably sure that Achish is gonna give us some land. So yeah, let's just go for it.
Who summons Achish, king of the Philistines? Well, if it isn't David, the Israelite, the one who they sang about. What brings you here?
If I have found favor in your eyes, let a place be assigned to me in one of the country towns, that me and my man can live there. Why should your royal servant live in the royal city with you?
The last time I saw you, I was sure to kill you. You should have seen yourself. Acting crazy, drool running down your beard. And now you come to me, your mortal enemy, asking for a place to stay? Maybe he is crazy. Silence. So I guess the rumors are true. You no longer reside among the Israelites, and you live as a fugitive. Of course you can reside among us. And you are right. We'll give you Israelites a city of your own. That way you don't have to intermingle with us Philistines.
Men, as I promised, we got the city of Ziklag. And I know this isn't the most ideal of situations, but I just want you guys to trust me. This is only temporary until Saul is no longer king. But to sustain ourselves, we're going to have to get down and dirty. We're going to have to raid, and I mean we're going to have to raid the Gershites, the Gerizzites, and the Amalekites. And man, when we do this, we have to kill everyone. No women, no children, no sheep, no goat. Nothing can survive, because we can't let it get back to Achish, what we are doing.
Welcome back, David and the Israelites. You guys look pretty beat. Where did you go off to today?
Well, King, we went against the southern area of the Jerahmeelites, against the southern area of the Kenites, and against the southern area of Judah.
Did he just say what I think he said? He's so loyal to me that he's even become obnoxious to the Israelites.
What happens when someone reaches their lowest point? What happens when you drive someone away who is filled with the presence of God? This week we are focusing on 1 Samuel chapter 27 and discussing David's decision to dwell amongst his enemies, the Philistines. As always, be blessed and enjoy. All right, welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Thanks for tuning in this week again. My name is Earl Roberts.
My name is Nakhaz Gay.
I'm gonna let you introduce our guest.
Yes, and we have a special guest, you know. I feel like all our guests are special, but today we have, a fellow wordsmith like myself, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know, he's a very talented rapper, I must say. a Christian rapper at that, you know what I'm saying? And he's also a theologian. He and I actually met at Oakwood University, I feel like my freshman year, so I knew him for almost a decade now, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. So without further ado, I just want to introduce you all to my friend, Wilfredo.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me on, man. This is dope.
Yeah, bro. I'm really excited, you know what I'm saying, for this conversation, for this discussion.
Oh, yes.
We're about to have a great time. So, everyone who's listening on a streaming platform, you know the drill. Definitely give us a rating of your choice. I'm not going to tell you what to give us. If you're listening on YouTube and you're not subscribed yet, definitely hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button or the dislike button. I'm not picky. I mean, I would prefer you hit the like button,
right,
personally speaking. But, hey, if you don't like what we're saying, you could definitely dislike. But if you definitely do hit that dislike button, let us know why by leaving us a comment. We'd definitely appreciate that, too. But to kick it off real quick for our weekly thought this week, I just have a question to pose. With all the things that are going around in today's society, I mean, this episode is going to come backdated, but this is the week of the Texas school shooting. So we've seen in the last 2 years, a lot of things have happened. A lot of things. Wars, pandemic, racial injustice, mass shootings. And this week I had the question on my mind, like, what is the role of a Christian in today's society? Because just as some background, like, there are some people who say, if you choose a side, you speak out, you're playing into the system, and you can't speak out. Then people saying, like, we should speak out against injustices no matter what. And then there's times it's like people just saying, like, we just need to, God's coming soon. This is all part of prophecy.
Yeah, true.
It don't matter what you do. And personally, I have a mix of all three. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, true.
Because yes, these are the end times. The end times, like God prophesied that certain signs will happen before the end.
Yeah.
We can see them. But does that mean just because the world is going to poop, should I not speak out? Should I not try to at least curb some of the wrongs and injustices that are happening to some marginalized groups? Like, I just want to get you guys' perspective.
Yeah. Man, it's interesting because, like, I think many times some denominations, right? For example, Adventism, the one that I grew up in, right? We tend to focus a lot on prophecy, right? And sometimes that's the response is,
these are the last days.
Yeah, these last days. The solution to this is Jesus. So let's just stay out of it and preach the gospel. And what's crazy is that many times when you look at the word prophecy, it has two definitions, and many people don't actually talk about this. So it's rather interesting because in every church I go to and I'm preaching, I always share this point. And it's the first one. It's foretelling, right? And that's the one that we're really accustomed to, right? The Daniel, the Revelation, the foretelling, the beast in Revelation, the 1,268 prophecy, all that stuff, nice and dandy, but it's foretelling, right? But the second definition for prophecy is forthtelling, right?
Break it down for us, man. Break it down.
And forthtelling is speaking on things that is happening in the present, things that are affecting the people of God and the people that, in the places that the people of God are in and around, right? We're called to be exiles, right? Foreigners in this world, as First Peter talks about. The word exile, also super interesting, is that the word exile, in our English definition, we think somebody that's isolated. But the word exile used in that passage is someone that's passing through but active in their community, right? Yeah. So when you look at the word prophecy, right? Foretelling, boom, yes, Daniel, Revelation, Jesus coming. Look at the prophecies, the end of days. But then you look at, the other definition is forthtelling. And a good example of that is like when God's speaking to like Isaiah, he's like, prophesy this to the people, right? Tell them, prophesy this, bro. I'm tired of your worshiping. I'm tired of your songs. I'm tired of this. Don't worship. Don't do none of that stuff. This is the example, Amos, right? Where he's like, I'm tired of all these things because you don't let justice roll. Like, you literally are forgetting the people. People are getting murdered. People are getting this, and you don't even care about them. You care about the worship service. God's like, I don't care about your worship service, right? So the thing with prophecy is which one is used more in scripture, the foretelling or the forthtelling?
I'd say the fourth telling, actually. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so my thing is always this, and this is what I always kind of say, is like, I think many times we focus so much on our prophetic message that we lose our prophetic voice, right? We're so focused on the foretelling message that we lose the forthtelling voice that we have to speak into our communities when it's both. You know, it's both. You know, I think when it comes to the question you asked, as a Christian, what was it again? As a
Like,
Christian,
what is our role in like current events?
but our role in current events, I really believe, is to live the gospel, right? And not just with words. Like, actually, when I think of where you were, the first thing that came to mind is Luke 4. Because we talk about the gospel. What does the gospel look like? Or the gospel is Jesus embodied. Okay, cool, right? But how did he move? How did he live? How did he talk? How did he treat people? You know, and the first thing that he defines it as in Luke chapter 4, verse 18, reading from Isaiah, he says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to proclaim good news, gospel, to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind and set the oppressed free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. You know, and all those things, I feel like they have a level of, like, all right, literal, like, hey, step into people's lives and be, you know, bring freedom into somebody's life, bring light into somebody's life, but also spiritually as well. There's people that are spiritually blind. There's people that are, right? They're in church. Oh, I'm in church.
Spiritually oppressed.
Spiritually oppressed.
Yeah.
Right? Just in bondage. And they think, oh, I go to church, or my grandfather's a pastor, or my family's fourth generation Christian. Bro, that don't matter.
Right. And to the spiritually oppressed thing, I was just thinking about people who, when they might be in a religion or a situation where people are very legalistic, and so you can't even breathe without people saying, "Oh, that's a sin, that's a sin." You understand?
Bro.
So
That's
you
like
can't be a human, you know.
That's like psychological torture, bro.
And that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, we can see that all through the Bible. But we can see that in the Adventist church in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and one of the points, bro, and I just think that's so interesting how you mentioned, like, you know, you could be spiritually and physically. Jesus could have been talking, but when I think about, to me, a lot of things come back to the Ten Commandments. I saw a meme this week that said things we could learn from the Ten Commandments, right? And it was saying that God cares about our possession, thou shalt not covet. God cares about our relationships, thou shalt not commit adultery, X, Y, Z, right? And I sit and thought about it like, wow, God is doing that to protect me. You understand? Because he cares about me, because he doesn't want me to feel the pain or to feel the anguish or to be murdered or to be hurt or anything like that. And when Jesus says the two commandments that hang up everything, love the Lord. You understand what I'm saying? Love your neighbor as yourself.
Yes, keep going.
I'm just saying, like, if we keep in the commandments, I can't see how us sitting here and just saying prophecy, 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 when there are people dying, when there are people being marginalized, when all things happen. I can't see how you can tell me that is loving my neighbor.
Yes.
Like, in any way. You can't convince anybody that somebody is hungry and I say, bro, 144,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, you feel me? Like, I can't see that as being loving my neighbor. And me and my wife, we was talking about this, bro. Everything wasn't a lesson for Jesus. When the woman with the issue of blood touched Jesus, he said, who touched me? She explained why she touched him. And he said, wow, you have great faith. Go.
Yeah.
He didn't turn around and say, but now let me tell you now. You feel me? What you lack is you don't pay the right tithes. You understand what I'm saying? Everything was in a lesson, bro. Some things was just healing. Some things was just taking care of your needs. And then we could go. You feel me? Because that's the gospel. Jesus, see, I work for a hospital and they big on extending the healing ministry of Jesus. Jesus did a lot of healing, right? So my thing is, if we see people are sick or if we see people that are damaged in some type of way and we ignore that about them, how can we say we trying to live like Jesus if we don't embody some of the components that Jesus was giving out every day? You feel me?
Yeah, and I think that's the point. Is embodying. What can a Christian do? Is literally embody. And that's what I say. Embody the gospel, and just be there for somebody.
Indeed.
Not everybody or every situation calls for a Bible verse. That person may just need a hug. True. One of the most powerfulest things I remember, I asked Pastor Rojas, the dude that's like super famous, the Mexican guy with the super thick mustache. He came to Oakland to speak. That dude's like
gotta see him.
an evangelist, like worldwide type stuff. He came to Oakwood to speak, and I remember I was able to have just the privilege of being in a group and having dinner with a guy. And I asked him, I was like, "Yo, this is the question I asked like all like ministers or people of like, I feel like, man, like you are, at the top of your game type stuff." I'm like, "Yo, if you were to give, what would you tell yourself with all the knowledge you have now? What would you tell a younger version of yourself coming into what you're in? What would be your advice?" And he said something to me, and bro, he said this to me like back in like 2018. Never forgot it, man. And he's just like, people will forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
That is true, bro.
And I'm like, wow. He's like, presence, the ministry of presence is so much bigger than and so much deeper than what you can actually think. He's like, just being there for people. Just being there. And I'm like, man, dude, something I definitely like I embody myself, man, because it's so true, bro. It's just many times some of the connections I made, sometimes the impact you make is just being present. Like, change my mind, bro, when saying if you want to be relevant, just be present. Just be present. Be present. If you want to be relevant in somebody's life, be present in someone's life. If you want to be relevant to any kind of thing, just be present. However that may be. And so when it comes to that aspect of like, what can Christians do now? But just be present. Just be present.
Definitely.
And be there for somebody.
Definitely.
Because it's true. The 10 Commandments, and I don't want to go on this thing, but you're touching on something that's, I think, super important to understand. I really feel that the 10 Commandments are God speaking to like a child, right? So take Israel and make it like a child. God had to literally tell the child, hey, do not commit adultery. Honor your father and your mother, right? All these things. And then you see Israel then grow throughout the centuries, right? And then when Jesus steps on the scene, they're like, yo, what is the greatest commandment of all? And he's just like, it's 2, right? It's not longer thou shalt not, but thou shalt love God. Thou shalt love thy neighbor, right? What's interesting, and I never hear anyone say, bro, is that after Jesus ascends, the New Testament writers only focus on one commandment.
Which is?
What do you think it is? Is it love God with all thy heart, mind, and soul, or love thy neighbor as yourself? Which one?
I don't know, man. Give me a hint.
It's the second one.
Love your neighbor.
And it's crazy. James chapter 2 says it. He's like, and this is the royal law of scripture. Love thy neighbor as thyself. So when you look at it, what's interesting is that the 10 Commandments, it's almost like it just keeps going back. The 10 Commandments, example, right? If I were to be like, yo, Kazi, growing up, your parents, you have a room that's dirty or whatever, right? Well, let's say you have, one day have children. You know what I'm saying? You got the little kids in the house, that you'd be like, hey, clean the room. That's a commandment. Clean the room. Did you tell them exactly how to clean the room?
No.
No, just clean the room. This is how it should be. When I come back, the room just better be clean, right? When you look at the 10 Commandments, God is being, number one, the commandments given is an act of grace. God is literally showing his people, I don't want a relationship that's manipulative. You don't got to guess with me. This is the relationship. You don't got to try to sacrifice this and all. No. This is it right here. Don't manipulate it. This is not it. This is not the other gods, right? Lowercase g, right? This is it. Just do this, right? Now, all those commandments are pointing to the essence of what God is trying to bring it, and it's just love, right? Love. How do I show love? Man, I don't try to take dude's wife. How do I show love? I don't try to cheat on my wife. How do I show love? I don't try to covet what another has. Perfect. How do I show love? And it's a buildup, right? So it's almost like here you have the 10 Commandments in infancy, Israel understanding the law of God in its infancy as a child. Then you have God or Israel more adult, right? Understanding it from a different perspective now. Where it's like, no. I could finally tell you the point that I was trying to get you to, which is love God.
Right.
God wants to get you to a place, and I really believe this, where it's just like if I were to ask you right now, like, would you kill your mother? That's a wild question, I know. But would you kill your mother? Right? Would you?
No.
Well, of course not. Why not?
Because I love my mother.
Because you love your mother. And that's the thing. I think God wants to get us to a point Where it's just like, bro, the thought of cheating on my wife doesn't even cross my mind. Because I love my wife.
It's an unfathomable thought. Yep.
You know? And so
it's all good.
yeah, man. So that's why I went off a tangent.
No, bro, I love that.
No,
Wait.
it was beautiful.
We should have had you for the Leviticus episode, for the Ten Commandments episode, bro, because you touch a few points that we shared during those times. You know what I'm saying?
Dang, bro, we can remix them.
Yeah, no, bro.
They all coming back. Man.
As long as we don't gotta be running to the hills, we're gonna keep going through this Bible over and over and over. Episode 2001.
We're back in Leviticus.
Back in Leviticus the fourth time.
No, for real, dude. I'm down, dude.
Yeah, man, it's
sure,
a blessing.
bro.
It's a blessing.
Because those, yeah, when it comes to like the law, I have a. Let's keep going, because I could go.
Yeah. Let's keep going because we do have a lot to go over.
So yeah, we are picking up in 1 Samuel 27. As everyone knows, we're still in the story of David. Last week, just in the essence of time, last week Saul tried to kill David again, and David said,
Nah.
David had the opportunity to kill Saul again, and David said, you know what, I'll just let it slide. And then Saul was like, oh, my son, yada, 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 you know, it's you.
Let's have a truce again.
And David was like, yeah, I'm not going back with you.
I laugh at that, John, bro, because I feel like David is like at the end just yelling, bro, just like, I could have took you out.
I could have, bro.
You know, this guy's like, my bad. I'm so sorry. I see the error of my ways. It's like,
You a better man than me, David. That's what he said, bro. He's like, bro, you a bitch.
I would have murked you, bro.
Exactly.
Because I would have murked you, boy.
Exactly. So we're in 1 Samuel 27, and I'm going to just start reading, and then we'll have the discussion as we go along. So, reading from the New King James Version, just for anyone who's following. And David said in his heart, Now I shall perish someday by the hand of Saul. There is nothing better for me than that I should speedily escape to the land of the Philistines, and Saul will despair of me, to seek me any more in any part of Israel. So I shall escape out of his hand. Then David arose and went over with the 600 men who were with him to Achish, son of Maok, king of Gath. So David dwelt with Achish in Gath, him and his men, each man with his household, and David and his two wives, Anoam of the Jezreelites and Abigail of the Carmelites, Nabal's widow. I like how they just point that in just for like, just remember what he did. Don't forget. And it was told to Saul that David fled to Gath, so he sought him no more. So, I mean, I just want to put a pin right here. Like, we see the humanity of David here.
Yeah.
Because just in the last chapter, he could have killed Saul again. I know we just made light of it, but he could have killed Saul again.
Yeah.
But think about it now. You're letting the person who is trying to kill you go. Knowing that I've been here really and truly, we could say 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
He killed him with a spear once.
Tried, yeah.
I came back. He tried it again.
I tried it again, yep.
I ran. He pursued me
Multiple
times.
Yeah.
And now, because of God's conviction, I said, I'm not going to lay hands on this man again. Because we see, what was his servant who was with him? I forget his name already. I mean, I could go back and look.
Yeah. And he wanted, and he was trying to tell him,
Like,
you should kill him.
I'll kill him right now for you.
Yeah, I'll kill him right now.
I'll end your problem right now.
One hit.
You don't have to dirty your hands.
Not even twice.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to dirty your hands. I'll kill him for you.
Yeah.
I will take this sin away from you.
Yeah,
I'll be shy.
And it's crazy how David brings up that point where he's just like, yo, Saul, like, your security's trash.
Yeah, bro.
Like, Abner
You need to
can't
kill him,
protect
bro. No, David was basically saying, bro, you trying to kill me? You should kill them, bro. You should kill them for being so bad at their job, bro.
Exactly.
That's essentially what he was saying. Like,
Yeah, that's wild. And it's crazy because as you're talking, it kind of reminded me of the fact that, like, Saul is almost like a Pharaoh. It's almost like Pharaoh in Exodus. Like, I'm gonna kill you. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'll let you go. Yeah, I'll let you go. And then he goes again. And no, I'm sorry. It's like his heart really isn't convicted, really, or remorseful or repented about anything that he's doing to David.
And that's what I was going to say too. It's like an issue of the heart with Saul.
Yes.
It's like how we see in Exodus, it was like Pharaoh hardened his heart, and then God hardened his heart at a point in time. And to me, I think that's where Saul is right now. He kept on hardening his heart so many instances over and over and over again to the point where the Bible doesn't explicitly say God hardened his heart, but Saul's heart and ways are already like set in stone at this point.
Sadly.
There isn't much changing from Saul you're going to get. And we can see David's coming to that point now. We see he said, I will perish someday.
Yeah.
And think about it. David also is God's anointed. God already anointed you to be the next king of Israel. That's already set in stone.
Yeah.
So think about it. You have God's divine protection, even when you don't feel it. But now you're saying to yourself, I am going to perish because Saul is going to get to me one day.
Yeah. And I think that mindset is wrong in David's part.
Oh, for sure.
Like, just from the fact of the beginning of it, where he says, like, in my heart, you know, that means that he didn't have the discussion with anybody else, right? Like the Elijah story, right? Where he's just like, yo, I've been seeing the provision of God left and right, right? The guy in chapter 22 tells David, hey, listen, don't leave.
The prophet Gath.
Yes, the prophet of Gath. He tells him,
God,
go to Judah, right? I mean, God is literally delivering you every single step of the way. You got people left and right telling you you're gonna be king. Like, so, like, bro, you're not, like, trust in the Lord, you know. And at this moment, he decides not to.
And you know what's so funny about it too? He said it in his heart. He didn't even vocalize
He didn't
it
even say it
at
out loud.
Like he literally said it, and he was like, just in his mind, if I stay here, I'm gonna just die. Like because the reason why I said it, why it's so important. No one. He robbed anyone around him who was close to God as well to
from the opportunity
to encourage him or talk him out of it.
But let me tell you, that's how I know David sincerely felt this way. He's sincerely scared, bro. And he was like, bro, I know he gonna get me one day. And I just want to put this out there to shoot David some bail. I agree with you. David was wrong. But for context, David probably was a young boy when Saul was anointed to be king and when Saul became king. Saul, perhaps in his first year, we don't know the exact timeline, but we know shortly after Saul became king, he was going to fight the Philistines, and he didn't wait on Samuel to offer the sacrifice. Samuel comes to him and say, your kingdom will be taken away from you, right? I think the very next chapter it says Saul reigned for 42 years or something along that line, for 40-something years, right? So all David knows is that he is anointed to be king. And this previous king, his reign is going to end. But he lived a lot of life after that, right? So to David, he might be saying, bro, this one man who anointed, who God, I could have killed him, but God tell me not to kill him, right? So I mean, God obviously want him alive for some reason, right? And he's lived decades since the fact that God was supposed to take away his kingdom. So David is probably looking at his life like, bro, this man just can't die. This man is invincible. God have a special protection on him. And I already see that no one can kill him, not even me. I had the opportunity twice and I was not able to do it. I was not allowed to do it. So David probably looking at it and saying, bro, truthfully, first of all, we got to stop meeting like this, right? But secondly, truthfully, David was saying like, yo, at some point in time, we're going to meet up and the roles will be reversed. I got lucky twice. This David feeling like he got lucky. Not that God literally put him in this predicament. He feel like I get lucky twice, but the third time is the charm.
Yeah.
And I might not be so lucky that time. Yeah. You feel me?
Yeah, and I think it drives him to, and looking at the passage, I wouldn't say like scared. Because if there's anything about David,
he's a brave man.
This man is brave, bro. This man is just wild.
He fought a lion, bro. I don't bear, bro.
Fought a lion, bro. You fought a bear, then you fought Goliath.
Over a sheep.
Over a sheep, bro. That thing would have been torn apart if it was me, bro. I would have been wearing that sheep. But this is the thing, bro. Like, it's crazy. Yo, the thing is, I really feel, and this is something we were discussing, but I think David was just like, I'm tired.
And there's a point to prove that too when I look back at it. But let's finish
I'm
your
tired.
point. Finish your
I'm
point.
tired, bro. I'm tired of running. I'm tired of being in the wilderness. I'm tired of, you pursuing me for no reason. Like, bro, I did nothing to you, and you keep chasing after me. The moment that I just want to be in a home. Not just now. It's not me alone. I got 600 people with me now.
And I got wives. I got a family.
I got family. And wherever I go, they have to run with me. Like, Like, bro, enough is enough. In that weariness. And I think that also, not just when you look at it from, and I don't know how you guys do this, but it's like pulling out applications just for like our lives today.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, for sure.
Go for it.
When you see like David, that example, I think even it's applicable today. When you look at even the New Testament when it talks about like weariness, bro, it's a serious thing. The book of Hebrews is written for Christians, Hebrew Christians that are tired, that are weary, and they're thinking about going back to their former Judaism, to their former. And so the whole book is an encouragement of like, yo, I know you're tired. I know you're weary. I know there's been difficulties and left and right and all that stuff. And I'm encouraging you, don't leave the better.
That was that written during a time of Christian persecution?
Yeah.
Right. So the time of trouble.
For
them.
But David is also experiencing
this time of trouble. So and that's the point I made. Like I think like 2 episodes ago, or maybe last episode. I think I made that point. David is literally. I think David may have coined the phrase "time present help in a time of trouble." I think that's a psalm. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we equate with prophecy back to full circle, like to what we were saying. Prophecy. We equate end time prophecy to us being in a time of trouble where we can't buy or sell, and the beast, and they just trying to wage war against Christians and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there were Christians during the Bible time, during when the Bible was written, that were being persecuted.
Yeah.
In like the first century, the early first century. And so for context, they would have been tired in the same way David was tired, because David was being persecuted for being righteous. It's the same thing. It's the same parallel. Time of trouble, time of trouble, time of trouble. And we could get into it even. It could get even deeper than that, bro. That's the reason why the prophets was getting killed in the book of Kings. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's like all those who live godly lives in Christ Jesus will suffer persecution. You know what I'm saying? Like as that text goes. And so to your point, bro, I feel like that's a perfect example to show how even as Christians, as a group, we can get weary, bro. We're not impervious to weariness. You feel me?
Yeah. And what happens is he gets tired and then starts making wrong decisions. Right?
And we can see this almost what even happened with Moses, how he lost out. Moses was essentially tired and weary from all the bickering and everything. And in a split second, he hit the rock.
Yes.
In a split second, he hit the rock. In this moment of tiredness, weariness, and he just made the wrong split decision and cost him not even be able to enter Canaan that he worked so long for.
Can you imagine, bro? You're with a people and literally they do something and now you're dealing the consequence. Bro, it's like corporate solidarity at its max, bro. Like literally, bro. Like, yo, the team lost and now everyone loses, bro, for 40 years.
Because what I was thinking about too is like David was their pseudo king for the 600 people. Because remember, they came to him as their leader. So remember, they were a group of misfits.
Yeah.
All their problems, all their disputes, everything David was solving for them. So he had all of their burdens to deal with. Plus, I'm on the run. Plus, if Saul kills me, then what? I have to make sure I'm safe, that we're safe. Again, God told me to go rescue this town. I went. I drove y'all with me, but guess what? We're all in danger now because Saul's coming here to kill me, and you guys are a byproduct of this. I could see, again, being fully human. We already say it ain't right, but from the human aspect, we could understand.
Yes.
What
led him to that?
Now,
go for it.
What led him to where?
And that's what we're about to get to.
To where, bro?
This is what we're going to get to. So I'm going to just read from in verse 5, just to keep the story going to get to your point. And then David said to Achish, if I have found favor in your eyes, Achish being the king of Philistine of Gath, let them give me a place in some town in the country that I may dwell there. For why should your servant dwell in the royal city with you? So Achish gave him Ziklag that day. Therefore Ziklag has belonged to the kings of Judah to this day. Now the time that David dwelt in the country of the Philistines was 1 full year and 4 months. So we see David was there for
a minute.
Yeah.
16 months. And so, first of all, people, my good brothers, Wilfredo and Earl, they blew my mind with this because I have such short memory with stuff, bro. Achish. Where have we heard that name Achish from? Just a few chapters ago, I think it was still chapter 22, if I'm not mistaken, when David left north,
Chapter 21.
21. When David left Nod, he went to the Philistines, and they brought him before the king, whose name was Achish. And David had to be a madman, a crazy man, so that he could his freedom could be, so that he could guarantee his own freedom.
Escape.
An escape. So David, we can see David. He's a clever guy, right? Yeah. And David considers his safety. Saul said it. He's a clever one, you know? So he considers his own safety, right? But, so, the roles are reversed now. The tables are turned, you understand? So he is back to a man named Achish. Now, as Wilfredo mentioned off mic, the jury is out whether this is the same guy or Achish may have been a title, but Nakhaz gave me, for all it's worth, I believe this is the same guy because I don't think David was gone that long. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Yeah. But now, the fact of the matter is the Philistine king is accepting David with open arms, right? And David also is making requests of the king, which the king is granting. Yeah. And we were just saying, David's feelings led him to make the decision, right? But the decision led him to the enemy. Yes! To the enemy side.
It's wild, bro. It is wild, bro. Like, you might...
No, go for it.
When I was reading this story, this thing, like, it's one of those things where, like, you know, you read, but then, like, you read it, and it's just like, wait. Like, what did I just read, bro? Like, I never noticed this. You know, the fact that he goes to the same guy, and you know, that's like the same dude, which is wild because the first time David goes to that city and acts all, like, you know, insane to preserve his life, to show that he's not a threat, you know, he gets kicked out because of his behavior, you know? Now he comes back to the city that kicked him out. Right? And he comes back and it's just like, what blew my mind was this. It's not so much that he was led or he's going into enemy territory seeking refuge and gets it, right? It's the fact that Saul led him there. It's almost like here you have someone who was representing God, someone that is anointed, someone that is, you know, churched. Right?
Man,
if I may use the word.
Go down.
If I may use the word.
Oh, my Lord.
If I may use the word.
Go down, bro.
That's where I'm supposed to go.
Someone that is trying to just keep power, keep authority, keep, you know, face, right, in front of the people. Yeah. To the point where here comes a young buck coming in who's going to be doing things differently.
Yeah, he got new ideas.
New ideas. You know, he does things that are more, you know, effective. Point is, it's someone that...
Say it again. You rush past it.
Yeah. You say it too suddenly.
Effective. I didn't say effective. Okay. More effectively, to the point where, you know, we were talking about it earlier, right? He's like, oh, yeah, listen, Saul kills 1,000, but this man kills
tens of thousands.
Yeah, that's someone that's more efficient. if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
You know, and so here you have, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, wait a second. Here you have someone who is, you know, of another generation, trying to keep a position. And then here you have him pushing away this person that is next in line. And he keeps pushing and persecuting and rejecting and trying to kill the ideas or kill the person, right? To the point where he leads them into the hands of the enemy. And not just that. When I was looking at it, in reality, what David is pretty much saying is like, yo, just give me space. Just give me room, right? To grow. No, you need to live in my house. You know, you need to
I gotta keep an eye on you.
I need to keep an eye on you and make sure you're doing things right. You know, things accordingly. You know, and if not, I'm gonna throw a spear at you. Right? And then he goes into the enemy's home.
Ziklag, yep.
And then he goes, and the first thing he does is he requests
space. Wow.
And the dude's like, of course.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
In fact, you know what? 25 miles to the south, there's a city. You can have it.
It's yours.
It says David on it.
Yeah, it's yours. It has your name written on it. Free of charge.
Free.
But I see, and that's why I actually really enjoy when we have guests on the pod, because some of the ideas, man, like, obviously I have my own ideas, right? Earl has his own ideas. Earl blows my mind all the time. Some of the stuff he's get out of the word, like, man, I didn't even see that. You understand what I'm saying?
Too kind.
But I'm saying, bro, I would have never considered the message, because, brothers and sisters, just by the time this pod comes out, I would have already preached the sermon. I'm gearing up to preach tomorrow. You understand what I'm saying? So my mind is in sermon mode on the low, which it usually never is, right? But now I'm reading this chapter, and Wilfredo texted me this morning like, man, bro, just an hour in itself, this chapter. And in my mind, I'm like, bro, it's only 12 verses, bro. We're gonna get an hour out of this, right? But it's like I didn't have my sermon brain on, bro, like on my sermon cap on. Like you see that right there? You got on that's your sermon cap. You got the sermon cap on, right? So it's like right now I'm really just thinking about how church folk can be more harm than the enemy or the outsiders. The people in church can cause more harm to the people in church. You understand what I'm saying? And I see that with our generation. And I'm not blaming people in church, because I still feel like people in our generation, sometimes they give more chances to the world than they give to the church. That's my humble opinion. But it can be, it has to be mentioned that sometimes the biggest villains are the people that you call leaders or the people that's in church. You understand what I'm saying?
Look at the life of Jesus. Who stood in the way?
The Pharisees.
The religious leaders.
The religious
leaders.
The religious leaders.
That paralyzed dude's trying to get in the house. Who's in the way?
The Pharisees.
The Pharisees. And then the disciples.
Oh, yeah.
To the point where they had to like open a hole in the home, to get the man down. And I think your point is very true. And that's what I was that's what I was getting.
Yeah, that's what I got from what you said.
Where it's like, bro, and not just any harm. It's the fact that we drive people away. Mm-hmm. And we drive people away.
Go for it.
Earl, you go. All right, but I'm
gonna go off there.
But what I want to note is that it's like a relationship, right?
Yes.
You can be completely ignoring, let's say, not a marriage, like a boyfriend, girlfriend. You could be completely ignoring your partner's needs, their emotional needs, their need for conversation, their love language, right? And they may be disgruntled, right? They may be very disgruntled. And then comes the person to confide, right? For your partner to confide in, right? And they could vent to them, right? That guy swoops in, says everything that they want to hear. See, but the person who is so vulnerable and who needs this emotional support, right? They don't realize how damaging or how dangerous it is to allow themselves to confide in someone that is not their partner, because this person is in opposition to your partner. This person wants to take you away from your partner, right? This is how Philistines look at David and the Israelites. They want to take David away from Israel, right? And so it's like, oh, you wasn't getting space over there?
Yeah.
I'll give you a whole town, bro. You used to live in a cave. No, buddy. I'll give you a whole town, bro. Yo. Like, you feel me? You wanna go run off and go on military campaigns? Go, bro. Yes. I'm not gonna micromanage you. That's what Saul was doing. Saul put him in charge of all of these different he put him in charge of all of these campaigns because he was trying to kill him. He was trying to get Saul. He was trying to get David to die. And like you said, I want you to live in my house. I want you to marry my daughter. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
Twice.
I insist twice, and I want you to almost die just to get the dowry for my daughter. Right? These are the things that Saul was doing. And then we have the person in the friend zone, the Philistines. Right? They understand David's needs. Right? But obviously they don't have David's best interest in heart. At the very last chapter, David expressed to Saul that, bro, I have to run around in enemy territory. People are accusing me of worshiping idols. I can't even worship in my hometown. People think that I'm a pagan, right? And then he goes to live among the pagans. Because to David, this is where I could find solace. This is the only place I can find peace. And I feel like that's how dangerous the devil is, bro.
Yep.
I always say this. Everybody has a thing. Everybody has a thing. Everybody has a thing that they feel passionately about that will get in the way of their relationship, get in between their relationship with God. Oh, yes. Some people it's covetousness. Some people it's homosexuality. Some people it's feminism or whatever. Bro, it's always a thing, bro. It's always a thing that you feel so passionately about. And then you read the Bible and you realize how the Bible isn't as directly aligned with your beliefs, and you say, bro, this thing can't be real, bro. They have slaves in the Bible, bro. I'm a black person. We were once enslaved. This gotta be the white man's religion, because they pro-slavery in the Bible, right? Completely not understanding the context that surrounds it, right?
Context is key.
Context is key, but their thing is black supremacy or black power, and the Bible doesn't come out and give them that. Some people think it's feminism, and the Bible don't come out and give them that. Some people think it's different types of sexuality. The Bible don't come out and give it to them. So they go to the denomination, they go to the religion, they go to the philosophy that supports their lifestyle, their thing, because they don't want to submit to God. They don't want to submit to anything. And if I could find a religion that tells me that I am God, because God is in me, that is where I'm going. You feel me? And I'm sure you don't remember your point no more. Yeah.
At this point, we done so far gone, I can just eat it. You know what I mean? That's the point of pointing. Sometimes you just gotta know when to swallow your point and keep on going. So I'm gonna read, because it's gonna kind of come out again. But then we see in verse 8, and then David and his men went up and raided the Gershites, the Jezreelites, the Amalekites. For those nations were the inhabitants of the land from old. As you go to Shur, even as far as the land of Egypt. Whenever David attacked the land, he left neither man nor woman alive, but he took away the sheep and the oxen, the donkeys and the camels, and the apparel, and returned and came to Achish. Then Achish would say, where have you made a raid today? And David would say, against the southern area of Judah, or against the southern area of the Jerahmeelites. I always butcher that one. Or against the southern area of the Kenites. David would save neither man nor woman alive, to bring news to God, saying, lest they should inform on us, saying David did, and thus was his behavior all the time he dwelt in the country of the Philistines. So Achish believed David, saying, he has made his people Israel utterly abhor him. Therefore, he will be my servant forever.
Wow.
My eternal servant.
So basically, to summarize that, and then we could just talk this one out, because we can't make it to the next chapter. You're right.
And also the beginning prompt kind of took like 20 minutes too.
Yeah.
Which was good.
Yeah, no. I love it, bro. Sometimes I feel like we don't have enough time. Sometimes I be wanting to give them 2 hours, bro.
You know what's so funny too? And just a tangent again.
Yeah.
The episodes that we think is always going to be the shortest ones end up being the longest episodes.
That's true. Sometimes we be like, man, we scraping for content with this one, bro. And then
you
the Holy Spirit get to moving.
Yo, next thing there's just fire coming out.
So kind of my point before was, too, God never takes away our talents. And we as a church have to be careful who we run out of the church. Because you could run away the next champion out of the church, and now the champion is in the hands of the enemy. And what could have been used for God is going to be, I don't want to say double, but Satan going to bring it out. And when you fighting against KD, when KD could have been on your team, is a whole different ball game.
KD's an athlete for people who
KD's a professional basketball athlete. Top 5 in the NBA right now. I ain't going to get into all that, but he's a very professional. LeBron James, everyone knows LeBron James. LeBron James. If LeBron James is on your team, you feel the utmost confidence. But what happens when you're an owner, for real, and this really happens, what happens when you're an owner and you run away your star player? What happens when you're a king and you run away your champion? Now your champion is fighting against you, and this is where we see, this is what's happening right now in Israel. Saul ran David away into the hands of the enemy. Now we can get into see what David really was doing in this 16 months in exile, which, again, we were talking about this before the pod, but it's you're just living a big lie right now in all the ways. You really want to be in Israel, but you don't want to deal with Saul. So you came where you feel that you have safety, which in itself is a lie, because you're literally in the hands of the enemy dwelling among them. You're lying, saying you're attacking the Israelites, your own people, but you're not really attacking them because you love your own people, but you're in still having to find a way to support your society. You turned you and your 600 men into blatant mercenaries. Let's just this is what you are.
Looters, they looting.
You looting, you robbing, and you're killing innocent people at this point. Yeah, these are the enemies of God. But first of all, when God tells you to go kill them, that's when you kill them. Not when you're taking it off of your own fruition to say, I'm going to go attack the Jebusites. Yeah, they are enemies, so why not? But then you're killing everybody just to cover up your big lie. So then you can go back to the king and lie and said, yeah, I'm attacking your enemies, but I'm attacking my enemies, but I can't take credit anyway for either of them because both of them are lies. Because I even shouldn't be doing it, so I can't even contact God. And it's a fun fact when I was doing some research, because as we're going through the book of David, the book of Samuel's, David wrote a lot of Psalms during these times. During this 16-month period, he didn't write any Psalm at all. This shows how, this is one of his lowest points in the reign, quote unquote, of David, or the life of David. Because it shows how far from God, how cut off from God, he purposely made himself as he was going through this period. Because he felt, and even going back to this, he's saying that Saul wouldn't despair me no more, but no, David, you're the one who's despairing because you're the one who's tired of being chased by Saul. You're the one, let's call it for what it is. You're the one who is tired of trusting in God.
Mercy.
Because to Kazi's point, God already provided for you. God already did all these things for you. But now you don't even want to deal with that no more. You don't want to, Saul's living too long. I'm tired of, you tell me I'm going to be king, but when? I'm tired of doing this, Lord. I don't even want to talk to you no more right up and now.
And it's crazy because you mentioned I'm tired of not being king. And I think you brought up the point, or was it you, where it's like, he's almost acting like a king in this city with these people, you know? And the way he's living is straight up like, for me, as I was going over the passage, I was like, yo, David is dirty. Like, here you see glimpses of a nature of David that is seen even as a king, right? Yo, I'm gonna do this dirt, but I'm gonna cover it up to the max. Like, I'm gonna get people, I'll kill people if necessary.
I'll kill everybody. Like, no witnesses.
You know what's so
everybody.
funny?
Like in Uriah's, in the glimpse.
But you know what's so funny? Like, I want you to hold your point, right? But right now, David, you're almost indistinguishable from what Saul is doing.
Saul, exactly. Yeah.
Like, you've turned into the person you don't want to be.
Yes.
Again, because the 2 points you have in common, you guys both disregard God's word at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And to literally, I think Saul even did that. He killed
all of the priests of Nod. Everybody in Nod. Everybody in Nod.
Yeah, but even in the first time, I think God told him, yo, destroy everything. People, cattle. He's like, I saved the cattle.
Yeah, I saved the cattle. Yeah.
And then
I'm the king.
I'm the king. I'm the king. Yeah.
The most important part.
You know, and I think David is almost like, man, I'm here in this city. I'm far enough from the king of the Philistines, and I'm close enough to where I want to be, you know, and I'm just living this lie, you know, and I think it's crazy the fact that he wrote no Psalms in that moment because it just shows, for me, it speaks. I think, you know, even as a writer, like whenever I'm in despair or whenever I'm in like just a mode where like, that's usually when I get the inspiration. I'm writing about the fact that David is like, yo, no, I don't feel nothing.
I don't feel nothing, bro.
I don't feel nothing right now.
I don't even want to right now.
Mercy.
Yeah, bro. And what's interesting to me though is that Achish has the most confidence in David. Yeah. So David is selling this, you know. So when David came to Achish, he probably told him, bro, we got beef on our side, bro. You can see I got my own situation going on. You can see these ain't soldiers in the Israelite army, bro. Yeah. I'm set apart right now, bro. Like, I'm on the run. Achish seeing it as like, that's like when you hit a jackpot, bro, like when somebody just letting something go for dirt cheap, but you like, bro, you don't see the value in this, right? So he comes and he shows David a good time, and David is egging him on. Yeah. He's like, bro, yeah, bro, David going to kill all of his enemies, right? He come back like, yeah, I just killed a bunch of Israelites, bro. The people of Judah, yeah, bro, I killed them, bro. I killed everybody, right? And Achish, this like kind of strokes his ego because he's like, man, this dude is my son right now, bro. Yeah. Like, I made this possible, right? Yeah. And he's so loyal to me that he is becoming obnoxious to his own people, bro.
Well, like, keep your point. I just want to read this last part of 28 verse because it ties into the story.
It does.
Yeah.
So just to like prove your point too, now it happened in those days that the Philistines had gathered their enemies together of war to fight Israel. And Achish said to David, you assuredly know that you will go out with me to battle, you and your man. So David said to Achish, surely you know what your servant can do. And Achish said to David, therefore I will make you one of my chief guardians forever. And I think that just summarizes the story and end this part of it. So
yes, bro. The fact that David was like, yo, King Saul's like, I'm gonna make you my armor bearer. And now the king of the Philistines is like, no, I'm gonna make you my bodyguard forever. You know, this is perpetuity.
This is perpetuity,
bro. Just you're here. And the fact that he responds with like, yo, you know what I could do.
You know what I could do.
You know what I could do.
Bro, because like if we could get into the psychology of it, right? David knows that he's about to be caught in a lie right now. Bro.
Yes.
If David is on the front line with the king fighting Israel, he's about to expose himself, right? But he can't come clean just yet, right? So the king's like, bro, like the king's super excited. He like, bro, David, we going out to war. You gonna be right on the side of me, bro. We gonna kill those Israelites. And David like, yeah, man, you know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how I get down. You know how I get down. But he look, bro, but it just sound like he lying, bro.
Yo, for real. Just sweat, just coming down to
Fox, bro, because like he gives no elaboration on what he's even talking about. He's like, yeah, now you can see what I do. You know what I'm saying? Now you can see what I do.
And man, and it's crazy that he's living in enemy territory, still in a weird way fulfilling what God had kind of mentioned, right? With getting rid, like opening the land for the Israelites, being against, lying about it, playing both sides. And it's crazy because it's almost like even if you're pushed away into enemy territory and stuff like that, the way he's maneuvering, bro, like it's about to be exposed.
Yes.
Like to the utmost.
Yes.
So it's like everything is beginning. And I think it's interesting to that point where it's just like in your life, even as a Christian, where you're just like, okay, they pushed me out, so I'm just going to go do my own thing. Right? Because sometimes, as you were mentioning earlier, the fact that like a generation does it this way, and what happens is many times the next generation, the pendulum swings the complete opposite way, and then it's just like a complete different reaction. And you think like, oh, well, I'm gonna do things this way, but I'm still gonna like serve God here and there like this still, just not fully. You begin to then almost live like a duplicitous life. That will be exposed. Like it will be exposed. Enemy's gonna come to you like, yo, we're about to ride out. And you're gonna be like, you know how I do.
Yeah, you know how I do. You know how I do.
We're gonna see how you do.
Yeah, no, we're gonna see. No, we giving you the platform. This your time to shine. Actually, bro, like all the things that you've been bragging about, bro, has made this possible. You know what I'm saying? Like, and one thing, a few things I wanted to mention about this, and we kind of talked about this to a good degree off mic. What David did was he was actually moving in opposition to everything God had done. And the reason, and for me to clean that up a little bit, is that by David going to the enemy, David's beef was with Saul, but by going to the enemy, you fully expose the condition of the Israelites. The king, last time David was there, the king had no clue that David and Saul were at odds, which is why the king would have killed David if David had not acted crazy, right? So now, when the king sees you, he don't see you as an enemy no more. He see you as an ally, right? And now, the Philistines have more confidence to ride on the Israelites.
Yeah.
So essentially, David, in protecting himself, he's hurting the Israelites more and more. And if we had time to get into the next chapter, we would see that even more. Yeah. But in the very next chapter, a lot of us are familiar with that chapter. That's a battle story or whatever with the Philistines. But the Philistines had accomplished so much when they realized that David was absent. You feel me? When David was still around, or before they knew there was beef, the Philistines could never get that far. As a matter of fact, even when the Philistines tried to raid Kyla, right? David just attacked them. So And that's my way of proving that the last time David came to the Philistine camp, he was legit an enemy.
Yeah.
And then he even attacked them afterwards. And now this time they accepting him with open arms, because now David come there with privileged information, letting them know everything ain't everything as what y'all see with the Israelites. And so now David is actually being an enemy to his own people because he's a quote unquote enemy of Saul right now.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah, man. Two things, and they're very short actually. One, the time that David spent there, I was looking into, is the fact that like the Philistines were more technologically advanced than the Israelites, even military wise.
Yeah, they had swords and the Israelites didn't
Yeah.
have
So David, in that time, the year, 16 months, that was there, I'm sure that he learned a lot of things from them that, he took the good, left the bad, that he later implemented into like his reign. But also, I think when it comes to, the next chapter, the next, episode when you guys talk about it, is the fact that I think God also didn't fully intervene to things because of the decisions that David made. We will see that he is not liable at all for what happens to Saul. Like, he is nowhere around, like, for what is going to happen to the man.
But yo, I just want to say one more thing. Boy, and I really wish we could have get into that next chapter, bro. Saul is going to have a panic attack. Because in Saul's mind, the last time him and David spoke, they pieced it up. And then David went with the enemies. So in Saul's mind, David is coming to kill him with the Philistines.
Yeah.
You feel me? And so like that, and I just go to my point where David really, he doing a number on the Israelites without even knowing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't doing nothing specific to the Israelites, but his absence is empowering the enemies of Israel.
Yeah.
You feel me? And
messing with Saul's mind.
Messing with Saul's mind for sure.
I think it's just the danger of like leaning into our own understanding. Guess what David like essentially did this whole time through this whole chapter that we just read? He leaned on his own understanding. Didn't consult God not once. Came up with his own plans. But the part that's more standing out to me is it wasn't just his life that he was affecting.
Yes.
Because whereas I can make the decision, okay, I can live in Philistia for a year. I'm not going to fall and worship their gods. But I can't say that for the 600 men with me who are with me. I can't say that for their wives. And I can't say that for the little children who are probably with them as well. And so your actions, his actions, whereas he might have said in his heart, clearly, that I can deal with this, I can live with the ramifications. You don't know what how bad your ramifications are affecting the people who are with you, how your ramifications are affecting your hometown that you want to protect. And to me, like, that's the danger that we all face when we start leaning on to our own understandings and not consulting God, because we think we have everything figured out.
Yeah.
But God is seeing all 4 dimensions, 9 dimensions, if you believe we have that many. But God can see all the angles. So when God is telling us what to do, how to move, and how to operate, he already knows what's going to be led from this.
Yeah.
We're only thinking about it one way, and 9 times out of 10, it's from the most selfish way possible. I am tired of being chased by Saul. So I will go to the enemies. And since you guys are with me, you have to come too. Whatever I decide to do, you're going to like follow suit. And to me, that's really like what's playing out there, because instead of consulting God this whole time, not once in, I guess, 16 months, not once that you felt the need to ask God, is this really what I should be doing? You decided to attack God's enemies because you think they were God's enemies, but that might not be what God needed you to do during that time, but you didn't even stop and ask God what he needed you to do. God might have literally told you, bro, I've been protecting you all this time. Just trust me a little bit longer. Like, where is your faith now? And we as Christians, we all get to that point. I ain't staying here like I'm mighty holier than thou. Like, I've been to points where I personally stopped going to church. I personally was like, I'm over it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, personally, I could kind of understand what David was going through. I might not have no one trying to kill me, but I understand what it is to be in God. I'm just tired. But then God's still there like, I just think about, I know this might be a tangent, I just think about Jesus, man. Like, I came to die for your sins.
Yeah.
I was here preaching. People accepted, people didn't accept it. I already died for your sins, but you're still there saying you're tired. Imagine if God got tired hearing our prayers. Imagine if God got tired seeing you commit the same sin over and over and over and over again. Imagine if God got tired knocking at the door of your heart. Because
Mercy.
the Bible says, like when he says, I knock at the door, it's a continual knocking. It's a knocking that I'm not stopping. No matter what you do, I'm still there knocking. You could choose to not answer the door. You could choose to open the door and slam it in my face. I'm not going away. I'm still there knocking. So imagine if God gets tired of us.
Yeah. And that knocking is so deep because the reason why he's knocking to people that say, I believe in you, I just don't trust you. That's why you're outside the house. That's why you're knocking, you know. And I think it's true, man. I think as a Christian, we all get to that point where it's like, man, I'm weary, I'm tired. I've gotten there, you know, where it's like, yo, I don't want to go to church. I don't want to talk about this. You know, yo, the podcast, nah, man, I'm good. You know, but it's crazy how slippery of a slope just disobedience can be, you know, to the fact. And the one thing that really stuck out to me when you were talking is the importance and how powerful and how heavy influence is. You know, which goes back full circle to the question that you started with. For me, you know, as Christians now, what is you have influence to one person. I think is you like influence 7 people a day or something like that. You know, just a day. You know, the fact that I'm influencing my sister, my brother-in-law, my nephew, you know, the people at work, whatever it may be. Like, and sometimes you don't realize, like, take into account, like, like you're actually impacting people's lives. You know, what are you doing with your decisions, with your choices? You know, you just can't be thinking about yourself. You know, to only be thinking about yourself, I think, is to really be operating under the governing principle of Satan's government, which is me first, right? Selfishness, as opposed to living under the government of Christ, you know, which the only law is selflessness, you know, which then branches out into, again, full circle, the commandments, you know, and all that things like that, you know. So yeah, no, influence is huge, man. I think David dropped the ball on this. And I actually, weirdly saying it, appreciate this chapter existing because it shows these mighty men, right, of faith. Like, no, they're just men, right, whose faith wavered here and there, just like us today. You know, and that's why it's so important to cling on to the faith of Jesus, because that faith does not waver.
In David's mind, the only way he could find peace from Saul is to live amongst his enemies, the Philistines. But in order to stay there, he had to convince the king that he was an enemy of Israel. David and his men went on campaigns where they would raid enemy cities and kill all of its inhabitants. But when he returned, he would lie and tell Achish that he raided the people of his own tribes. But tensions are continuing to rise between the Israelites and the Philistines. And once again, they are going to war with each other. But what side will David fight for? We'll find out next week.